School community. Hiya. I was gonna attempt to do a live on YouTube and then pop it on the feed to see how it worked. Because I'm still experimenting here with the space. So bear with us. As always, your feedback is really valued. So please do offer feedback in the topic that's hashtag school feedback. I think that's what it's called. And comment on this thread. So I'm going to do a little video today about love, and I would love to know what you think about this form of me sharing. The idea of Love School is that it's a community, and I really want you guys to feel comfortable to share your own experiences. But as we're just getting started and I'm hosting the space, I would really like for you to feel more comfortable with me and get used to my face and my energy. Sometimes I don't come across brilliantly well, I think, in the typey world, because I don't know why. You can just make all sorts of interpretations, can't you, in typey world. So I just felt like it might be important for me to do a couple videos, share them in the community so you guys can get to know me, my style of communication, and yeah, we can start interacting a bit more. And I thought, well, this is Love School, and a lot of the content at the minute is around self-care. Judy's a great boundaries course there that obviously begins to step into relationships, but a lot of what we've got up at the minute is around self-love, because we kind of all agreed that that's where love starts, and we really wanted to feed the courses and introduce you all from a place of filling yourself up first. But we are going to encompass all sorts in Love School, which is loving self, others, and everything. And so I thought, and there's so much content you can actually already find around love. If you're really interested in this and you want to get your head around it, there's Love Fool's show, which is linked literally on our public in our public page. You know, if you go at the top there, I'm sure there's a little menu that says Love Fools. You can hear our shows that I've streamed. I host the show and I talk a lot about love on that. And also we've had our first show with Carly on there, and our next show with Rachel will be released very soon. So there's loads about love in them shows. And also there is Carly's podcast. Carly and I have a chat and get to know each other better in the Love Fools podcast that talks about a bit about love and self-love and loving others and what it all means. Love can be a complex issue, and that's why we've created this entire school around it, because I think it seems dead simple, doesn't it? It just seems like, and like love's like one of those things where it should just happen, or it should just work, and we all want more of it, and wouldn't it be lovely if we all had more of it? And then you try and get it and it gets all complicated, and because other people are involved, right? And people are very complex. So I wanted to do a video where I'm going to look at some of the previous posts that I've done. So in Love Fools on the show, I talk a lot about my own experiences, what I think about love and self-love and loving others, and what I'm bringing to Love School as a host. But this, I've had some really interesting interactions over the years when I've been researching this. I've done a lot of research into this. Love became a special interest of mine. Part of my neurodiversity is when I'm interested in something, I really get interested in it. And every now and then I put something on my Facebook to just engage with the audience on there and see what they think. And I post a question in different ways. And you should hopefully notice on the community feed, I've recently posted it here. What is love? Because love is one of them things that, like I say, we all have a slightly different interpretation of. But I do also think there's a universal language of love. And this is what ultimately Love School will be about. There's been lots of mentors bringing in all different aspects of learning are based around this very broad subject. But together we can navigate what is the universal language of love and how do we make it work for us and everyone and everything and others and all the rest of it. But yeah, so I might look down a little bit because I'm going to be reading off my laptop. I just really wanted to share some of the interactions and the learnings that I've gained about love from interacting with other people. And this was a question that I put, what is love? And I love some of the responses, because the first responses come up was, baby, don't hurt me. Remember that song? don't hurt me no more. What is love? That should be like an intro. If I had an intro song to this question, that's what it would be. Oh, I didn't finish, I think. So the thread that I put in the community, what is love? Have your input. What is love for you? What does it mean? What's your initial response to it? Have you thought about it deeper? Go wherever you want with it. It's really interesting. And the course that I've done, which is one of the first courses I want to put up there, How I Like to Be Loved, was part of my personal exploration into it. And I've shared it on there because everyone who I've shared it with have said it's been a really important journey for them to do that, to go through that process of how I like to be loved. You know, how do you like to be loved? Because it is individual to us all, and if you're struggling, or if you want to understand yourself better, or what you bring to relationships, or what you want from relationships, How I Like to Be Loved is a really good place to start. It's a self-exploration journey, involves a lot of written. You don't have to write, you can record yourself talking like this. Like, so some of these explorations, like the written explorations, you know, you might think, oh, I have to journal. If you're not a writer, don't write, just record yourself, an audio or a video, and let yourself flow. Whatever feels right for you, do that. That's honouring part of your self-love. So yeah, feel free to comment on the thread, and if you're really interested in delving into your understanding of love a bit deeper, have a go at How I Like to Be Loved. I recommend it. So yeah, I did this post. When was this one that I did? This was October, and I got quite a few responses, and I really liked the responses, so I wanted to share. Lots of people had the same response to what is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more. There we go. We'll get it out. So Jojo said it's a frequency, and I find that really interesting because I resonate a lot with the idea of frequencies and how that fits with, obviously, I do energy art and colour, and I have a love image that I use a lot. I get that love can be a frequency. Love is a state of awareness, perhaps, that we can resonate with. We feel love, don't we, when we're there? We feel love, and I think if something's a frequency, we can feel it and we can resonate with it. So that was a really interesting response that came off from that. What do you think? Is it a frequency? Is that a bit woo-woo for you? So Adele said, it might be a bit philosophical here, but for me, love is sharing a safe space with someone where you can be who you are and see what you experience without being questioned or reprimanded for it. Well, I think I just fell in love with Adele for saying that. He's a good guy, he's Adele. And so did Tallulah. Tallulah's like, I love you. That really resonates. That really resonates for me, sharing a safe space with someone where you can be who you are and say what you experience without being questioned or reprimanded for it. Wow. I think that just really felt like it resonates, and I hope, it's my intention, that Love School becomes a space like that, a safe space. And I think the Love School logo uses the yin yang, and I personally talk a lot about masculine and feminine, because I think there's different aspects of love, and I'll share a bit of a post about that, actually connected with this when I post the video. And I think that's like a masculine energy of holding space to do with love. David says, love just is. It doesn't need anything. It's the energy that moves and creates. We're often confused as to what it really means. Yeah. I think that's a very broad understanding of love, isn't it? That it's just anything that moves and creates. But I think you kind of resonate with it. I do think we need love to create. But there's lots of ingredients. It's like love will fuel you to create a Sunday dinner, but you need lots of ingredients to make that dinner delicious, right? That's what I think. Tony, love is when you give someone or something a higher priority than you give yourself. Now that's an interesting one. So I've done a whole other post based on that idea of love, which we'll share in a minute. But yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? I think that idea that love is giving a higher priority to someone else. And that ties in with the idea of sacrifice in relation to love, which, like I say, I'll talk about later. Alan says it starts with oneself and then radiates out as a gift and returns and absorbs the love from outside to replenish a virtuous circle of self-reinforcing abundance. Well, that's lovely. I love that idea. I think for me, it does resonate. I get that. Sometimes there can be expectation, though, I think, in that sort of idea. What do you think? Because if we give it out as a gift, but then it returns, it's almost like an expectation, isn't it? If you're not expecting a return, I would say that's love. If you're expecting a return, there's something else mixed in with love there for me. Yaz says, you are love. We are love. We just are. Claire says, love is a decision. And I said, I'm interested. Can you explain a bit more, please, Claire? And she says, I don't feel that love is an emotion. I think love is a choice. That resonates for me as well. And when I inquired further, she says it's a choice to support, respect, be affectionate, and be true. Yeah, and then Brandon chipped in and said it's not always a conscious choice either. Which I think is true. Buddy reckons love is sacrifice. Let's see, we'll talk about that later. Someone else is love is a vibration of frequency. Ali, you, me, and us. So a lot of people, they just resonate that we are love. That I find that really yeah, that's quite sweet. Adu says love is a set of emotions and behaviours characterised by intimacy, passion, and commitment. Oh, Clive reckons he doesn't love anymore. I had to block Clive because he was a bit of a troll. Belle reckons that love is a choice too. Leslie reckons love is God. Tommy reckons love is a fairy tale. That can be true, right? Genevieve, love is what and who we are. So they were the main key things I think that's cropped up there on that question. So how does it resonate for you? We are love. Love is a frequency. Love is a choice. Love is a sacrifice. And love is something that we give and receive. Feels like a universal truth, I think. But I'd love to know what you think about that. Now, this love as a sacrifice thing, I want to delve in deeper. So I did another post, which was more recent. This was in January. And I said, love is giving up part of yourself or your needs for others. I'd like to discuss. Now, I got a lot of responses to this. And it went really deep. But what I did notice, actually, funnily enough, was because I see patterns, is women responded in one way and men responded in a different way, which is this masculine feminine thing that I find really interesting. But I'm going to give you just a couple of examples. So Silas said, something that I've done far too often to a high degree, and I realised that I lose my identity and individuality by being so focused on partners and their needs that I forgot myself. I've always neglected parts of myself in a relationship and in friendships just to fit in. And I didn't realise that being authentically myself, that I'd attract the sort of people I should be in relationships and friendships with. I thought love was about compromise where necessary. Self-love is a priority. And if you have to sacrifice so much of yourself, it's not even worth it. That perfectly explains this dynamic that was unpacked in this conversation. Kim gave a beautiful response. Love is not having to give up part of yourself for anyone. I honour that. Aya, not even a little bit. That's not love. It's actually the opposite of love because everyone is worse off. Eleanor says, this is a good question. It depends on which part of yourself you're referring to. If loving someone means giving up part of yourself that might not be serving you, perhaps it could be a good thing. we've got, let me just, Suzanne says, love is not that at all. True love, you love yourself first, and love should never mean giving up a part of yourself. Colonna says, that's the shadow of love. Self-abnegation. Helen, absolutely not. Love means loving yourself first, working on yourself to become the highest version of yourself. Then you can start to work with others and give them a bit of your unique self. Then Jill says, though, this is true. Tallulah says again, sometimes in relationship one needs to compromise, but people often mistake sacrifice for compromise. Gemma says love over fear. Michelle says completely disagree. Remove this limit and belief. Now, what was interesting when it unpacked, then all of a sudden men started chiming in, which is great because often they're a bit quiet on my posts sometimes. They're not necessarily sacrifice, but they make you stronger and loving, more beautiful and aware of the blessing that you are. That's when you give sacrifice. Judah says, of course, I agree that love can be demonstrated this way. Unfortunately, critics are going to attack what you say because they will insist this action means you have caused a detriment to yourself, but that's simply not true. Tony says, Jesus says there is no greater love than a man giving up his life for another, putting someone else's needs above your own and being with someone because it makes you happy. And then Deborah says, self-love and boundaries are the most important things to cultivate in order to steer your course through life's chaos. I just really wanted to share that. I'm going to add a post that I created as well about what I understand is this dynamic, these two different dynamics of love. But this is an important one, I think, that we can often get caught in the trap. And I was certainly caught in a codependency trap. And codependency is when we want love, so we give up ourselves for the people. We sacrifice too much of ourselves. And obviously here in this space, we're on a self-love and loving self. And that's why we started with loving self first, because loving self is often filling ourselves up and then having healthy boundaries, as Deborah suggests. Because I personally do think love can be a sacrifice. And I shared during that thread on more one-to-one conversations about caring for my nan. And some of the people shared about, when they have children. And that sort of love is seems to have a different dynamic when we talk about relationship love, as in like in a romantic partner or a life partner. We seem to be much more willing to sacrifice for people who need us more, as in who are dependent upon us. Our relatives who are ill, sick, old, or children who are young, dependent and in need of us. And we seem to be able to be much more comfortable in sacrificing for them than when we get into adult relationships. And then when we get into adult relationships, it's like this dance, isn't it? This dance between where do I give and where do I give for myself and when do I give to others, and navigating that boundary. And that's a choice, I think. That's completely a choice within each individual, within each interaction, within each relationship, within each situation, and it constantly changes. And that's the flow, I think, that we need to often explore and understand and get comfortable with. So I just wanted to share that, and I'll be really, really interested in your comments about what is love, but you can add them to the What is Love feed in the community. What do you think about the comments and the ideas that came up on this, about these discussions, and then the post? I'm going to add all of these different dynamics of love. How does that resonate for you? And what also do you think about me doing lives like this or videos like this on the community? I want the community to be a safe space for you, and if this feels like it's a bit too intrusive on your journey, let me know, because I want this to be a space where you feel safe to express yourself and not feel like ideas are being imposed on you. But I really did want to just share something and get the conversation maybe it's flowing a little bit and start interacting with you guys, and let you get to know me as the host in the space a bit better. Really looking forward to hearing what you think, and thank you for joining, and enjoy your journey with Love School.